Hey, this is Chuck Harris with Cross Trails Cowboy Ministry. Old Farmer John lived a little ways out from town, but as years went by, he got more and more traffic by his place, and they seemed to be going faster and faster. Come to a point where he was losing about 5 or 6 chickens a day. So he called the sheriff. He said, listen, we got to do something about this traffic out here and slow it down. And the sheriff said, okay. He said, I'll send out a crew tomorrow. So he sent out a county crew, and they put up a sign that said, slow school crossing. Well, that didn't seem to do much good. He called the sheriff the next day. He said, listen, he says, people are driving faster now than they did before. He said, you got to come out and do something different. So the sheriff said, okay, I'll send out another crew. So the next day he sent out a crew, and they put up a sign that says, slow, children playing. Well, about 3 days passed, and Farmer John called the sheriff again. He said, listen, he said, that sign's not doing the job. He said, you got to do something different. And the sheriff said, I don't know what to do. So anyway, well, Farmer John, he just kept calling the sheriff for about 2 weeks. Every day he called the sheriff, and the sheriff finally said, listen, I don't know what to do. He says, and Farmer John said, well, he said, why don't you let me put up a sign? I think I can slow him down. And the sheriff said, okay, go ahead. And that was the last he heard of old Farmer John. For about a month, he didn't hear anything out of him. So he got a little curious. So he called Farmer John himself. He said, listen, he said, how's it going? And Farmer John said, hey, it's going great. He said, I'm kind of busy. I got to go. Well, this made the sheriff think even more, got even more curious. So he said, maybe I'll just go out and see what kind of sign old Farmer John put up. That way, maybe we could use it somewhere else. So he drove out to Farmer John's place, and his jaw hit the floor when he seen what he put up. On a 4x8 sheet of plywood, he wrote, nudist colonies, slow for wild chicks. You know, sometimes we don't take instructions very well, do we? In James 1:22 it says, but don't just listen to God's word, you must do what it says. Otherwise you are only fooling yourselves. You know, from the time we're small children, we learn to take instructions like tying our shoes and getting dressed. And we take instructions for, you know, we have building plans to build buildings. So why then is it so hard for us to take God's instructions? Are you really listening to God, or are you just fooling yourself today? That's all I got. Sermon in a minute.